All right. Well, welcome to our last chapter, chapter 35, about our immune system and infectious diseases. Today we have a guest with us. Come here. Come here. Come here. It's my dog. He wants to say hi. Or I want him to say hi. Oh my God, he's getting so big. I can't even lift him up. There he is. Say hi, Kato. Hi. Yeah, I love you too. Okay, I'll let you down. Our goal is to explain the significance of genetic factors, environmental factors, and pathogenic agents to health from the perspective of both individual and public health. And this is one of my favorite firesides. It's called Punk Accountants, and it's because my husband's a CPA. He actually has us hanging in his office. So let's think about it. For thousands of years, people did believe that diseases were caused by curses or evil spirits or vapors rising from the foul marshes of dead plants and animals. In fact, malaria was named after the Italian words mal, area, meaning bad air. And this isn't surprising, because until microscopes were invented, most causes of diseases were invisible to the human eye. So our first objective is to identify the cause of infectious diseases and explain how infectious diseases are then spread. Objective 1 is identify the cause of infectious diseases. So during the mid-19th century, Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch established a scientific explanation for infectious diseases. Pasteur's and Koch's observations and experiments led them to conclude that infectious diseases are caused by tiny little microorganisms. Microorganisms were commonly called germs, so that brought us to the conclusion called the germ theory of disease. Infectious diseases are called by pathogens, which can be any organism that invades the body and then disrupts its normal function. Examples of pathogens are viruses, bacteria, single-celled eukaryotes, fungi, and parasites. Viruses, as we remember, are non-living particles that replicate by inserting their genetic material into a host cell and taking over the host cell's functions. Viruses cause the common cold, influenza, chicken pox, as you can see here, and also warts. Yeah. Bacteria cause disease by breaking down the tissue of an infected organism for food, or by releasing toxins that interfere with normal activity in the host. Bacteria cause streptococcus infections. Also, I lost my track there, sorry. Diphtheria, as we learned about before, right here. Botulism, right here, Botox, and anthrax. Fun stuff. There are different types of fungi may affect the surface of the skin, the mouth, the throat, the fingernails, and toenails. You might get a toenail infection, fungus, from going to a salon to get your nails done or something. Dangerous infections may spread to the lungs or other organisms. The fungus Trichophyton interdigital causes athlete's feet. That's nasty looking. The single-celled eukaryotic Plasmodium causes malaria, a very damaging infectious disease. The single-celled eukaryotic Trypanosoma brucei feeds off nutrients in the host blood and causes the African sleeping sickness. Both Plasmodium and Trypanosoma are spread by human insects. Gardenia intestinalis causes infections of the digestive tract and is transmitted in infected water. Many people may be infected with the roundworm Trichinella spiralis from eating infected pork. The flatworm Schistosoma mansoni can be contracted by people working in rice paddies too. Other parasitic worms include the tapeworms, as this is what you see here. No, here's the Schistosoma, and hookworms too. So Koch's studies with bacteria led him to develop the rules for identifying microorganisms that causes a specific disease. These rules are known as Koch's postulates. And here they are. Number 1, the pathogen must always be found in the body of a sick organism and should not be found in a healthy one. The pathogen must be isolated and grown in the laboratory in a pure culture. Koch's studies with bacteria led him to develop these rules for identifying the microorganisms that cause a specific disease, as I already said. Number 3, when the cultured pathogens are introduced into a healthy host, they should cause the same disease that infected the original host. And number 4, the injected pathogen must be isolated from the second host. It should be identical to the original pathogen. Although there are exceptions to these rules, they remain important guidelines for identifying causes of new and emerging diseases. Most organisms that live and grow in the human body are symbionts that are either harmless or actually beneficial. Yeast and bacteria grow in the mouth and throat without causing trouble. Bacteria in the large intestine help with digestion and produce vitamins. What's the difference between a harmless microorganism and pathogens that cause disease? Well, the good guys obtain nutrients, grow, and reproduce without disturbing normal body functions. The bad guys cause problems in numerous various ways. Some viruses and bacteria directly destroy the cells of their hosts. Other bacteria and single-celled parasites release poisons that kill the host cells or interfere with their normal functions. Parasitic hookworms may block blood flow through the blood vessels or organs, then take up the host nutrients or disrupt other body functions too. So our first objective is to identify the causes of infectious diseases. Infectious disease can be caused by viruses, bacteria, single-celled eukaryotes, formerly called protists, we call them protists, and parasites. Objective 2. Explain how infectious diseases are spread. Yes. Pathogens are often spread by symptoms of disease, such as sneezing, coughing, or diarrhea. In many cases, these symptoms are changed in host behavior that help pathogens spread and affect new hosts. So if a virus infects only one host, then that virus will die, and then when the host immune system kills it, or when the host dies. So that virus will not live on. So for that reason, natural selection favors pathogens with adaptations that help them spread from host to host. Many bacteria and viruses that affect the nose, throat, or respiratory tract are spread by indirect contact. Coughing and sneezing releases thousands of tiny droplets that can be inhaled by other people. Those droplets can also settle on objects such as doorknobs. So if you touch those objects and then you touch your mouth or nose, you can transfer the pathogens to a new home. The ability of a flu virus or tuberculosis bacterium to cause a host or to sneeze or cough is an adaptation that increases transmission of the pathogen from one host to another. Pretty clever of them, wasn't it? Have these adaptations that make us sneeze and cough. Other pathogens, including drug-resistant staphylococci that cause skin infections, can be transferred by almost any kind of body-to-body contact. They can also be transferred by contact with towels or certain kinds of sports equipment. The most important means of infection control is thorough and frequent hand washing. If you have a cold or flu, cover your mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze and wash your hands regularly. Some pathogens require specific kinds of direct contact to be transmitted from host to host. A wide range of diseases, including herpes, gonorrhea, syphilis, and chlamydia, are transmitted by sexual activity. Therefore, these diseases are called sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases can only be completely prevented by avoiding sexual activity. Other diseases, including certain forms of hepatitis, can be transmitted among users of injected drugs through blood from shared syringes. HIV can also be transmitted through blood or sexual contact. This is a picture of what Staphylococcus can do. Many pathogens that affect the digestive tract are spread through water contaminated with feces from infected people with other animals. Contaminated water may be consumed or may carry pathogens into fruits or vegetables. If those foods are eaten without being washed thoroughly, infection can then result. Symptoms of these diseases often include serious diarrhea, another adaptation that helps pathogens spread from one host to another, especially in places with poor sanitation. Bacteria of several kinds are commonly present in food and uncooked meat, especially ground meat. If meats and food are not stored and cooked properly, then illness can result. Any disease that can be transmitted from animals to humans is called zoonoses. Mad cow disease, severe acute respiratory syndrome like SARS, West Nile virus, Lyme disease, Ebola, in bird flu are all types of zoonoses. Sometimes animal carriers or transfers zoonotic diseases from an animal host to a human host. These carriers, he's sleeping now, are called vectors, and they transport the pathogens but usually do not get sick themselves. Mosquitoes can transfer the West Nile virus between birds and humans. In other cases, infection may occur when a person is bitten by an infected animal, then consumes the meat of the affected animal, or comes close in contact with an infected animal's waste or secretions. Oh, fun, huh? To stay inside. Oh, this is an example of the vector. So our objective 2 was explain how infectious diseases are spread. I'm just joking about staying inside. Go out and play and enjoy the world. Some diseases are spread through coughing, sneezing, physical contact, or exchanging of bodily fluids, and some diseases are spread through contaminated water or food. Still, other diseases are spread to humans from infected animals. So our objectives, again, were to identify the cause of infectious diseases, explain how infectious diseases are spread, and they all support the goal, explaining the significance of genetic factors, environmental factors, and pathogenic agents to the health, yes, from this perspective of both individual and the public health. And there is the cutest picture I could find of a shark. It's not too bad, actually.